has representatives in 50 states, and I'll talk more about us. And Nevada's been a particular state, but one person outside of D. Evans has gotten my attention and some of the national attention, and for the work that she's done, and that would be Miss Catherine Duncan at the Harrison House. Her motivation, her drive on the west side made me come here and do some things that we were only doing in rural Mississippi. So come up here, Catherine Duncan.
Thank you. Good morning. In 2007, I was working in my own private office. I owned a travel agency. I had a 10-year-old son. I was doing well. I owned a home. I was living the American dream. A group of people came to me and said that they were really concerned about what was happening on the west side. At that time, I lived in Summerlin. I ended up in the home of Assemblyman Harvey Mumford. There were 40 people. They were getting ready to march on the strip, and they had planned to burn it down in their words. I didn't know what to do about it. It wasn't my problem, I thought, because, again, I lived in Summerlin, I owned my own home, and I didn't have this problem. But I did reach out to the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and I asked Dr. Christine Clark, who was head of diversity at that time, what can we do to change the condition of our people, change the west side? We had drugs, prostitution, and crime. So it seems like all the government wanted to do was fight drugs, fight prostitution, and fight crime. Dr. Clark said, these are just symptoms of a bigger problem. The west side suffers from racism and white supremacy. And I went, oh my God. Racism and white supremacy, how do we tackle this challenge? There was no organization that I knew of in the state of Nevada that was tackling white supremacy and racism. I reached out to an organization called the Universal Peace Federation, a conflict building organization. I joined Universal Peace Federation. They appointed me their local chairwoman for 2 years, and I was asked to reach out and find 100 people who were already doing great work in Las Vegas and appoint them to become ambassadors for peace. So for the past 2 years, I've been reaching to people, trying to put together a coalition, reaching out to peacekeepers so that we can come together to tackle racism and white supremacy. What happened is, when America sneezes, the rest of the world gets pneumonia. France, China, Russia, all of these countries are so concerned because America is in unrest. And we have to do something about it, not just for our sake, but for the sake of the world. For the sake of the world. So, what do we do moving forward? What are some next steps? United Nations weighed in on this problem. They brought in a team, the Human Rights Council, and they said, you're doing really, really good on your civil rights activities. America has achieved a real good degree of civil rights, but you're not looking at your human rights struggles. We have to deal with the human rights of all people in America. United Nations has given us 33 recommendations of activities and actions that we can take. We don't have to start over. We don't have to agree on all 33 recommendations because one of those recommendations says get rid of the death penalty. And I know there's some cats up in the prison system that need not to even, let's be real. There are some terrorists out there that deserve the death penalty, so I'm not so sure I agree with the UN on that one. But at least there's 32 other recommendations that we can begin to look at to see what our role is. I'm so pleased that Mr. Steve Williams and Ms. D. Evans are doing these commemorative activities. Believe me, I wasn't a Juneteenther in the beginning. When they came to me talking about Juneteenth, that's some Texas stuff. Nevada's doing a way better job at ending slavery. Our state was battle-born. Nevada came into existence because we came in fighting slavery, bringing about an end to the Civil War. If we just tell Nevada's history and become great Nevadans, we'll end racism in Nevada. Thank God we're not on Halloween anymore, right? We have our own day to talk about our history. So let's talk about some next steps. Pastor Ron, he's an ambassador for peace. There's other ambassadors for peace, Mr. Mumford. We need to continue having dialogue. If we don't talk about it, no one does anything about it. We were holding monthly forums here at City Hall for 2 years. We need to get back to that. We need to get the great leaders at the table. We have to have dialogue. Harrison House is open every day to talk about race, racism, how to deal with it. Everybody has a responsibility, whether you're black, white, or something else. You have a responsibility for bringing about an end to racism and white supremacy. If you want to come and talk about it and learn what your individual responsibilities are, we're uniquely positioned, culturally competent to handle this situation. So come to Harrison House, one of our next steps, and I'm hoping Councilman Creer will work with us to get the Moulin Rouge rebuilt again so we can have a major center for race and dialogue. I'm not going to go on anymore. I'm taking up all the time. But if the Moulin Rouge was shut down in the middle of a virus 65 years ago, it was shut down because of racism. It's still shut down and destroyed today. So I know racism is more devastating than coronavirus. Because Moulin Rouge has not opened back up yet, but all the other hotels are about to open. We need to get the Moulin Rouge back. We need to have a resort place where black people can come and work for ourselves. So let's start with the Harrison House, let's move on to Moulin Rouge, and let's rebuild the West Side. Let's make America proud again. Thank you.
Thank you, sister.
Sorry, I went too long.
Thank you. We're running some, so I'm going to do my keynote right now. The National Juneteenth Observance Foundation's goal and mission is to bring all Americans together to celebrate our common bond of freedom through the historic recognition, observance, education, and preservation of Juneteenth in America. We are in all 50 states. We are in Guam, China. Juneteenth is celebrated in Mexico by the Muskogos, who escaped from slavery. Juneteenth is celebrated by a whole week in Ghana and Nigeria. They acknowledge Juneteenth. We have a strong contingent in Minneapolis right now at the Flashpoint. And one of our media directors is based out of there, and we'd like to direct attention to a screen of what they're trying to attempt to do. They planned before this, and now we're working to support them. Antonio, can you press the light?